We just wrapped up talking about the GOP's response to the debt ceiling agreement between Biden and Kevin McCarthy. They've reached an agreement, the negotiations have concluded, and now it's time for them to sell their party on this agreement. And many within the GOP are unhappy. Some, as we talked about yesterday, within the Democratic Party are unhappy. But I have a moment here for you of Democratic Representative Ritchie Torres going on MSNBC and explaining how Biden kind of out-negotiated Kevin McCarthy in this situation. And there are so many things Kevin McCarthy wanted to get as a part of this threat of crashing the economy if Biden didn't concede to certain things, and he just didn't get it. He didn't get these concessions. And so I'll show you this clip. He nicely walks through a few examples of that, and then we'll discuss. This is, again, Democratic Representative Ritchie Torres.
Congressman Ritchie Torres, a Democratic member of the House Financial Services Committee and the Select Committee on China. So thank you for being with us. I want to start with something Speaker McCarthy is saying about the deal. Listen.
Right now, the Democrats are very upset. The one thing Hakeem told me, there's nothing in the bill for them. There's not one thing in the bill for Democrats.
Congressman, is he wrong?
Well, any deal negotiated in a hostage crisis is destined to be a raw deal. But having said that, it's clear to me that the president did the best he could to out-negotiate Kevin McCarthy and the hostage takers. So the Republicans originally demanded a short-term extension of the debt limit. The president secured a 2-year extension, taking it beyond the 2024 presidential election. The Republicans originally demanded a 10-year time horizon for spending cuts. The president negotiated it down to 2 years. The Republicans originally demanded draconian spending cuts, as much as 22% for non-defense programs. The president negotiated it down to a spending freeze in 2024 and a 1% increase in 2025. The Republicans originally demanded broad-based work requirements and time limits. The president negotiated it down to pretty narrow requirements, and hopefully these requirements are narrow to the point of nothingness. So the bottom line here is that the president was extraordinarily effective at watering down the Republican ransom note.
Agreed. And it's important to say, it's not that this agreement is good, but we weren't going to get something good dealing with the MAGA GOP, who openly is saying we're willing to crash the economy if you don't concede to our policy demands. We're willing to use as a threat the crashing of our economy and thus the world's economy by not raising the debt ceiling so that we can get some dream spending cuts. And so we weren't going to come out the other side of that with something great. But with that context in mind, the fact that this is the agreement we got, I think is something you can give Biden credit for. The only criticism that falls out of that, outside of that context, is if you hold a position which is a fair position, Biden never should have negotiated. He said he wasn't going to negotiate, and he shouldn't have, on attaching budget talks and spending cut negotiations with raising the debt ceiling. That never should have been allowed. He should have ignored those demands completely, possibly invoked the 14th Amendment, and charged forward with that, which would have also been a very terrifying decision, just the possible effects of that type of play on the part of Biden. But in principle, I think it makes a lot of sense. But Biden decided to eventually start negotiating, and he got this. And I think with all of that understanding, a lot better than I expected. And Ritchie Torres wrote on Twitter in response to the clip I just played you, POTUS out-negotiated MAGA. Republicans demand only 1 year debt limit extension. Deal, 2 years. Republicans demand 10-year time frame for spending cuts. Deal, 2 years. Republicans demand 22% spending cuts for non-defense. Deal, spending freeze in 2024, 1% increase in 2025. And those things are significant. There are negatives, absolutely. Again, you can go watch my past clip walking through the different items in this agreement. But especially the fact that we aren't capping spending levels, or we aren't bringing spending levels, discretionary spending levels, back to 2022 levels, which is what Kevin McCarthy was saying he was going to get. That was a big thing, is really huge. Because if we had gone back to, based on the awesome increases in spending to crucial programs that were done in 2023, if we'd gone back to 2022 discretionary spending levels, that would have been disastrous for so many people and so many programs that benefit people. But instead, it froze 2023 levels after all of those increases for year 2024 and then a 1% increase in 2025, which I'd love that not to be the case, but it's not like anyways we were going to get increases to these crucial programs while Republicans had a majority in the House of Representatives. So everything considered, I think we came out the other end of these negotiations in a much better place than I expected, based on how willing it seemed so many of these MAGA Republicans that are the engine of the GOP were willing to really throw us into an economic crisis to get these spending cuts. Or if they didn't get the spending cuts, they were willing to do that. And we will see if it's able to get through the House and Senate. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get access to the exclusive members only bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That is lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. And there's a link in the description.